thanks for joining me. We've got the Citroen DS3 here today with a broken coil spring. So let's get it changed over. Let's bang a new spring in. It's this front driver's side one that's broken. The bottom of it's just cracked off. So let's whip the leg out and get it changed. What we've got to do is get to the top mounting, which is beyond this scuttle, so we'll have to whip the wiper blades out and then take this scuttle panel off. Got little plastic caps over the bolts for the wipers. You just literally push them up with the screwdriver, pop them off. Then we've got 16mm nuts on the top of these wiper arms, so we'll whiz those out.
This is the Milwaukee M12 3/8 ratchet. It's an absolute beauty. Really enjoy using it. I'll put links in the description if you're interested.
And then if you just give these a little press on the top, you should be able to then just lift those off like that. One there. Over here. Out of the way. Now we can get to getting this off. So just pull that rubber out.
Now,
pull down.
Yeah, normally these scuttles on cars will just pull towards you and they'll come off clips on the top. This one is stuck solid. I've had a real good look and I can't see any mounting screws fastening it in. So if you are watching this and you know how to get that off, just give me a little shout, because we're going to work our way around it. But I was really struggling trying to get this off. It just wouldn't come. I'm presuming it must be bonded with the steering, with the windscreen sealant. I would think at some point it's probably had a screen in it and they've accidentally got some Bondo on this scuttle panel, because it's absolutely solid as a rock. Can't free it at all.
That is. Which makes me think when they put the screen in, the Bondo's got to this trim and is stuck it. It doesn't want to come away. Which I might be able to get at that. I can lift that up and get at that now, so I'll just do it like that. I won't take it right out. Okay. Don't want to break it. Let's get this jack under the jacking point.
I'll pop a link in the description to a similar jack. These are like a low entry jack. You can get right underneath that. Even if the car's been lowered, you can still get these jacks in. It's got a safety catch on it, this one.
So how do we know the spring was broke? Well, as it was driving down the road, we're getting this knocking noise, a real bad thumping up through the, you can feel it through the floor, through your feet in the pedals. Quite a, especially over speed humps, you were getting this doof, doof, doof. Turn the steering, it was creaking a bit as well. So if we have a look up here, and this is the spring, and the bottom rung on it, just down there, has snapped off, and you can see there's the empty sort of hanger at the bottom there. It's got these little cap things over the nuts. So pull them off. Okay. Split the wheel off. First thing we've got to do is take off the drop bar. So the drop link there, we've got to remove that top bolt there. We'll pop these hoses. We've got the ABS wire, which is just clipped in. We just push those out the back, the rubbers on that one as well. We'll push that out, so that's the ABS wire is now detached from the strut. The brake is detached from the strut. I've got the rust off there. We'll just spray that on a few of the nuts and bolts we've got to remove. We'll spray this around this bottom of this leg as well, because we've got to get that out. And a bit on the top mount. So we've got a TX30 out the little bit box. We've got a 16mm spanner, so we'll put the spanner on first. I might really use a ratchet spanner on this one actually. So, get the ratchet spanner on. Get that in there, and let's see how tight this is going to be. Oh, this is not too bad, but it's coming away.
Yeah, bit of a shock there. I did put the impact gun on that nut before, just off camera. So yeah, it wasn't loose, but the impact wouldn't bring it. It was just spinning on the ball joint. So ratchet spanner and the torque's needed. It's a little bit tight on the thread to get it off, but with that Rostov on there, it always helps. These are always a little bit fiddly when they're tight. You can't get much swing on the spanner, but steady and slow, away we go.
Okay, that's that nut off there. What we'll do though is get the axle stand under this. Because the drop link is under tension, so we just need to get this axle stand under the bottom arm. And then we'll just lower the car down and you'll see this straighten up. Just take it off the safety lock. Like that. Now that should just pop out the back like so. That's rid of that. Let's jack this back up again now. Pop that. That's will stand under the car as well. Right, so that's the drop link out of the way. That's detached. Let's whip this big bolt out the back. I'll just turn the steering round a tad so we can get a bit of access into it. So now you can see this is his pinch bolt at the back here. We'll have that out. Again, it's a 16mm.
I've got the impact gun in there with a impact universal joint, which is a fantastic bit of kit.
Nice little lock nut. And the pinch bolt then pulls through and out the back as well. If I just get a lever in between that clamp there and spread it a bit, it should come out quite easily. And now you can actually see the spring has started to protrude off the side of the hanger there, and that's where it's broken at the bottom. Right, I'm straightening this steering up again. So I've got my least favourite tool in the world, the dodgy old spring compressors. I will buy some new ones at some point, but they should do the job. I'm going to just attach those on at the moment and see if we can pull some tension out the spring.
I'll pop a link to some better ones in the description.
So we just hook that over. And then just wind that on. And do the same with the other side.
If I can compress this in situ, it's going to make it easier for it to come out. It's going to shorten the length of the strut, which will make it better for removal.
Let's get a span on those.
There are a couple of ways of doing these springs. You could remove the leg complete with the hub attached to it. So you'd have to pop the drive shaft out, you'd take the bottom ball joint off, remove the caliper, then you could... you'd have to remove the ABS as well, you'd have to remove the ABS sensor, then you could take the whole leg completely off with the disc and everything attached to it still. I find this way is generally quicker and easier, you're not disturbing as much, you're not disturbing the drive shaft. But, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say.
Okay. So there we go, look, we've got a lot of tension out that spring now, which is going to hopefully make life a bit easier for us to remove it. And I can see already there's a little gap appearing just here on the hanger, so I should better just tap that down now.
I'm using the copper hide hammer here, so this doesn't damage any of that leg or the hub. It's nice and soft, but it's heavy enough to shift it. A few swift taps there, you can see that moving, see it dropping down. It's just under tension from that anti-roll bar and the bottom arm.
What I'm going to do is just take the because this is going to get, I'm going to try and pull that, this is getting in the way a little bit. I think I'm just going to whiz this caliper out of the way, have that down here. Should make life a little bit easier. I'll just take the two 13mm bolts out the back.
I do apologise for the poor view. Last thing you want to see is the back of my head.
Just the two little 13mm in the back there, and this whole caliper will now just slide off. And I can bring that round and drop that down there out the way. That's give us a little bit more room. The brake pad's going to fall out on that. I'll just pop them out as well. Right, now let's try and get this out. So just get a lever bar in there. Okay, so can you see, I've just popped that in. Just dropped it in through the hole in the bottom arm there. And now I can lever down on this. Hopefully. Let's pull on one bit. Right in there.
It's been a bit awkward this, it's not giving me much.
Really close, it's just catching on that, the drive shaft just catching on that anti-roll bar.
I'll get our Big Bertha in there, give it a good swing, I'm sure we can crack it. Come on, girl. Gotta be a little bit careful though that you don't pull too far away and pop the universal joint, the drive shaft joint, out of the gearbox.
Yeah, that's going to come out. If I take the top bolt off now, I think I'll be able to wiggle that out. Right, let's pop this top bolt off. So it's a 21mm socket, and inside here you can just see that 21mm bolt there. So if I get my gun on that, whiz that off of there. There it is. I've got the little washer as well off the top, and now that is all hanging in there ready to come out.
So a few fair wiggles and push down, and that should now come towards us and pop out, because there's nothing holding it in at the top. We've took the bolt off. Bingo.
Pops like so, and there it is. There's his leg. And notice that comes out, this piece here, the raised piece points to the outside of the car. That's important. So we've got the compressor on, the springs clamped down there, so we can now undo this top bolt and remove the top mounting. Okay, 19mm. Let's get that on there.
You could pop this in a vise if you weren't so daft as me. I've got my demolition gloves on though, so I'll try and take my fingers off if I can. How good's your grip? What a numpty. Too lazy to go and put it in the garage.
You can hold it with an Allen key in the centre if you haven't got the impact gun. That's cracked that off, so let's scrub that all the way out. And now we can raise this top mounting off. With the gaiter and everything attached. Like that. So that whole lot comes off in one piece. And then we can slide this broken spring off. And you can see now at the bottom here, the snapped end off it there, look. Okay, let's just pop that over there a minute. And undo the clamp on the spring.
So you can obviously, once you've got that off, you can check your strut, make sure there's no oil leaking from it. If there's any signs of oil coming out the shock absorber on the strut, then new one needed, and this is the perfect opportunity to change them if that's the case. This one's okay, it's not overly corroded, so I'm just going to change the spring. With me dodgy clamps off, look.
There we go. And we've got a new spring here, part number of that. About 30 quid usually, somewhere around there. And that's the new one. And you can see there the difference in the two. The piece we've got missing off the bottom of this one. Yeah. There we have it, look at that chunk straight off the end of that. So it's got the writing on the side, so that's the way it's going to go, writing facing upwards. We need to put this dodgy rubber bit on the bottom of this new one. Stop it squeaking when it's all in place. Might just pop a bit of tape around that to hold it while we put it together, otherwise it's just going to come off.
I just use a bit of insulation tape, electrical tape there, just to hold it in place. Once the car weight's on it and it's all pegged in, it's not going to go anywhere. I'll just keep it in place while I mess about.
Okay. I'll bring forward his leg again. We can now drop that in, get the locator into position, just there like that. At the back here, there's a little noggin, and that's got to sit down the back, so we know that's at the back. If we point that backwards, that's the front, that's the back. So when we're putting these clamps on, we want these either side. So we'll bring them round, one that side like that, and one that side like that. We can start to wind them down.
Whatever you do, don't put your face over the top of this when you're doing them up. Always keep to the side of it in case one of them does let go and the spring shoots off the top. It'll come off there like an absolute rocket, especially when it's under full tension. Just work on one side at a time, nice and easy. It is a bit awkward, they do bend over, then it catches that hanger and it's a bit fiddly to get your socket off sometimes. But I just keep working them side by side, pulling it down.
I just want to go far enough that I can get this top mount in. Don't want to go too mad just yet. As soon as I know I can get that in place.
Obviously that top mount has got a bearing inside it as well, and they have been known to fall apart. You can put them back together again, but just be wary that it might come into two pieces and you get bearing balls or ball bearings everywhere, so just be a little bit wary of that. I mean, this Milwaukee ratchet, you know, it's even got the power to pull down a spring, which is unheard of on a electric ratchet, really. It's got a lot of power. It's a cracking bit of kit. It's a bit... I prefer pulling it down with the ratchet than I do the impact gun. The impact gun's a bit violent. It's this seems a bit more controlled. For those of you that follow the channel, you know this is my least favourite part of the whole job. I just hate pulling springs down. I've seen one let go in the past and it ain't the best. They go anywhere, they absolute fly off there. I think we're about there though, look.
So is that enough to get that top mount in? Let's have a look.
Come on, sort it out. Put some air around it. Gotcha. Second time lucky. There we go.
Oh, it's really close. Yeah, she's going on. That's good news. I've got that all pointing the right way around. We can make sure that that sits exactly the same place as it did on the old one. Just by looking at the positioning on it, like that. So we're located at the bottom, we're all straight at the top, rear is there, the front is at the front. So now we can do this, can wind that down. Nice and tight.
We can now whisk the clamps off. That ain't going anywhere. Lovely. Sitting in that little hanger, beautiful. Now look.
Let's take it all the way off. Let's see what happens. Get that boot back down again. Put that into place. Okay, let's try and get it back in again. See if we can squeeze it on up there. So I'll feed it in the bottom and then put the top bolt in and try and get it all in at the same time, which could be interesting.
So just hold it with my left hand and put the bolt on with my right. Just put the washer on the top first and then get that big bolt in there. Only got to put a couple of threads on it just to hold it. We can do that up later on fully. Yeah, lovely.
Okay, so that's just hanging there now. It's located at the top. So we've just got to try and get this back in there, which this is going to be the tricky bit. without damaging any of the wires.
Obviously, because we've got a new spring in there, the leg is now slightly longer. The compressors aren't going to help us out because the spring is bigger and it's tight. It's really tight. We're going to have to do something else.
Try and make the reinstallation a little bit easier. I'm just going to pop these 3 bolts out down the bottom here.
This will just relieve that bottom ball joint. It'll allow it to slide and move about. You could go for the big pinch bolt, but again that's a pain because we haven't got a lot of swing on this bottom arm. So if I just whiz these three nuts out that hold that on, I use my vice grips on here because they're Allen keys and I can't get to the top of them. But if I can get these vice grips clamped onto the side of these, then the impact should just whiz them straight off. Look at that, what a fantastic bit of kit. Vice grips to the rescue. They are a clever bit of kit. They are good. For what they are, little simple pair of pliers, but you get such a lot of grip with them that they can crack off rusty old bolts. Get us out of a spot of bother, that will. These are a little bit tricky. They're a bit awkward to get to, but I can just about get enough on there without putting a deep socket on. And you can see that biting on the top and pulling it through. We can wiggle that hub about just to get the bolts through. Just pop them vice grips off there and get that bolt up. Look, give it a wiggle. Yeah, come on, out you come. It's plain hard to get. It will come out though. Shove that out the way a bit. There we go, come on. Gotcha. One more to go. I'll get them vice grips in there again. We'll clamp on that. This one's a little bit more fiddly because it's in the middle, but even so, they're not a match for these vice grips. Just get in there and clamp it in. Yeah, got it. Let's have this last one out, and you'll see this all let go when I take this last one out. Look, see that moving now. Look at that. The freedom we've got there now. It's going to make a massive difference, that is.
Right. So now that's out of there. Should give us a bit of swing on this.
Again, just be careful not to pull that drive shaft right out the gearbox, and watch the gaiter on this outer CV joint on that bottom arm. It's not sharp, so it shouldn't affect it or hurt it, but just be wary that you don't want to split that, because it is now contacting that bottom arm. It is awkward. We'll just manoeuvre that round a bit, and then I can just try and get that strut into the top of that hub. Just lever that arm down a bit. Get old Bertha in there again. There we go, look. That's freed that. Go on, shove it down a bit. Just give us a bit of drop so we can get that in the top. Oh, it's so close, look. Look how close that is. Ooh, watch that wire. Watch the wire. I don't want to break that ABS wire, do I? It's tight though, look. In you go. Go on. In you go. Push. Bingo.
In you go, you little rascal.
That was tricky, wasn't it?
Okay, and now we're just looking for the marker at the back to turn this leg round so that it sits. We'll go back in to position.
We'll just line up these bolts again now. We can get this bottom ball joint back in. Again, this bottom arm, it's on them rubbers at the subframe end, and it just puts it under tension. They're quite springy, they are. Good rubbers though. They last for ages and they don't cause many. You don't get many knocking issues or them splitting. All manufacturers seem to have gone with this design now.
Okay, that started that one. Started that one.
We'll just get his steering turned around so we can get that back one in. Just give us a little bit more room to get it in there. If I just pull this one down a bit, it'll just get it closer so I can put that bolt through at the back. And again with that one as well. I'm not going tight, I'll leave him loose so we can get that last one through. Get it into place. Fiddly fiddler. But we're going to do it, you're going to get in there.
There we go, start that one.
Now I'm happy to bang these up. We'll get these up nice and tight. I get my grips, grab hold of them again, and bash these up with the impact gun. Yeah, there we go. We're getting there now. We're getting there. Spin the steering back so I can get around this side. I'll get this one in, clamp it up again, and bang this one up. Lovely. Lovely. One to go. Just get it on that last one and bang that one up too, and then that's all nice and tight. Gotcha. That was a tough bit, but it's done.
And that is just almost finding its own way in. What we do is get the axle stand underneath, drop the jack down again, and it will push that. There it is, we're right home. Now we can get the pinch bolt back through. While we're on there, we might be able to get the anti-roll bar link back again, so let's raise that up.
Yeah, so we just line it up and we can get that anti-roll bar drop link back through. We'll pop the nut back on it and then whiz it up nice and tight as well. There it is, that's that up. The ABS wire back in there. We've got his brake caliper then that will come over. That can go back into its mount in there as well. Turn the steering round. We'll have his brake pads back in again. Caliper back up. There's two 13mm bolts for that.
That's them in nicely. Pinch bolts in, brake pipes in, calipers on. Let's spin it round, get this axle stand out from under it. Right, and now you can see the top mount in there. We're all in place, just got to do that back up again.
Get in there with the impact gun again and just twaz that down. Nice.
That's that up nice and tight. I think that wheel could go back on.
So we'll drop the wheel on, we'll whip them nuts up, bang them in nice and tight. About 120 Newton meters. Drop the jack down. And then we can just refit this rubber trim on this scuttle panel. And then we'll pop the wipers back on. Didn't need to take that off all the way in the end. It would have been nice to have got it off, but it was plain hard to get. Just line these up, so you line your wipers up to the dusty bit on the window screen, so you can see where the mark was originally, unless your car's super clean, in which case you could just drop a bit of water on the screen so it leaves a little watermark. But as long as they're level and about in the right place, just waz them up, do them up nice and tight. Not got to go over tight with them, just to, you know, nip them and then a quarter turn or something. There you go, look, on it goes. Put the caps back on. And then we can drop that bonnet down. Happy days.
So there we go. Suspension spring is all changed, all replaced over. We had a couple of little, learning curve again. It's the first one of these that I've done. It was easy to take the 3 bolts out the bottom ball joint, just give us a little bit more give to slide that leg back in again. But other than that, she was pretty straightforward. So if it's been a use, if you enjoyed it, drop me a little thumbs up, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.